Hi, welcome back. It's springtime here in Montreal. It's a very important time of the year to manage the growth in our trees. In this video I will discuss growth management in elongating species. I will discuss fertilization, what are elongating species, and much more. So stay tuned. My name is Rafael Najmanovic. I'm here to share my bonsai experiences with you and pass on the tricks I learned along the way. So we'll be speaking about elongating species here and managing their growth. This is a white spruce, Picea glauca. This is an elongating species. As you can see, the growth elongates. Other examples of elongating species are Tuya occidentalis, Larix laricina, other types of spruce, Hinoki cypress, and so on. In my case, I only have as elongating species Tuya, larch, and a few types of spruce. Now, this is not anything biological per se. It's more classification based on the type of on the habits, growth habits. And so you have pines, you have junipers, you have deciduous trees. They all obviously elongate, but the fact is that the growth habit influences the type of work that we do in the spring to manage the growth. So here we have this spruce, and there are elongating tips, and there are strong ones such as this on the tips here. There are medium ones and weak ones, for example here. We have different strengths of growth in different areas. So the management of growth in the spring involves both the pinching of this elongating growth in a phased manner to do two things. One is to distribute energy more equally around the tree, and two, obviously stop the elongation. So at the growing tips, we have a number of hormones, auxins, and these auxins, they lead to stem elongation, and at the same time they prevent the elongation, or they inhibit the growth of lateral buds. So as we pinch, and as we will pinch in a phased manner, the removal of the auxins will stop inhibiting the growth of other buds, and even latent buds that are not visible yet will be allowed to grow. The pinching process is very simple. Simply with a hand, you hold the growing tip, and with your other hand you grab at the edge and twist. So like this, we removed a number of needles. We remove the auxin, and what's left is a certain number of needles of the new growth, with the green stem in the middle where new buds will appear, but we didn't damage any other tips around the needles that are left. So in that way, this grow will be perfectly healthy. It's much different than if we were to cut with a pair of scissors, and that will remove a number of needles, the auxin as well, but would damage the tip of many of the needles that are left behind. So again, simply hold and twist. Now, how much do you leave is up to you to decide. When this is refined tree, you cut it to the silhouette to maintain the silhouette. Now this is a tree that is in refinement and not in development. So let's speak about refinement versus development for a moment. Anything that involves development means growth, means fast growth. For example, recovery of the root system after a severe repot, maybe perhaps once the first transition from a recovery box to a bonsai pot, or the creation of primary branches and secondary branches, the thickening of the trunk, the thickening of branches. So anytime you need thickening, elongation, recovery of wounds, either in the roots or maybe a very big chop, you're in development. And in development, we fertilize heavily and we don't constrain the growth. We want as much growth as possible to help get to the goals that we seek in the development, elongation, healing, and so on. Once your tree is in a stage of refinement, that means that you are constraining the growth, you're managing the growth, you're restricting the growth. And so even though this is not a finished tree, this is a tree that I don't need to heal the roots, I don't have big wounds to heal, I don't need additional branching, or rather the slow speed of development during refinement is something that I can afford with this tree. And so I'm treating this tree as in refinement, and that means fertilizing differently from development, so a lighter fertilization, and doing the pinching in the spring. This tree is without wires at the moment, and so I will wire this tree also. This is unlike a larch, for example, where I cannot wire it once the foliage is out. In this case, the foliage is the new foliage is much more sturdy and difficult to damage while wiring than with a larch, for example. So this I can wire now. It's a good time to wire. Anytime that your tree is growing, so in the spring or in the fall, are the best times to cause damage to a tree, and that means the repotting, or that means the bending of branches. Even slight bending causes micro damage, and it's best to do that when a tree is in a position to heal that, so not during dormancy. And so this tree will be wired. Some branches will be removed, some branches will be shortened to positions where there are growing tips or very visible buds, and right now I'm pinching the stronger tips, as I mentioned, just with my twisting with the finger. But I don't even know if some of this growth will stay, or if it's part of what will be removed. In any case, the pinching process, again, hold to the length, twist and pull, twist and pull. And I am doing only the stronger ones now. In a few days, perhaps 5 or 7 days, I'll come and look again, and those that will take over as strong then will be pinched, and a week later again. And this process can continue not just in spring, but as the tree elongates throughout the year. As long as you always leave some fresh new growth on these growing tips, and make sure that whatever is left, you still have time for it to harden off to produce the terminal buds for next year. So For example, larches, I will do the pinching a few times during the year, perhaps 2 or even 3 sometimes. But when it's close to the end of summer, I will let it grow unconstrained for the rest of the season. And so those tips, final tips that were last pinched, have time to heal and produce terminal buds for the next season. So this is a simple process. And this is the management of growth in spring for elongating species. Now there are a few differences. For example, tuya, even though it's an elongating species, we don't pinch. Just like a juniper, we just cut between growing tips. Needless to say, we don't pinch a juniper either. I'm not pinching the medium or small stuff. I'm letting it develop further, and then I will come back to it. All my larches are not yet ready to be pinched, but this spruce is. I may miss a few things, a few long extensions, but it doesn't have to be perfect. They will become noticeable once they start growing further. As long as it's still fresh green growth, it's okay to pinch. This entire lower branch will be removed, so I'm not too concerned about it. The styling will come after the pinching in the next few days, whenever I have time to do it. Another point to mention is that you can selectively pinch to regain strength, or selectively not pinch to gain strength in areas that are weak. So for example, this branch here, I pinched some bits, but I may not pinch the rest, particularly on this one here, and that is very weak, and this one. So maybe you don't pinch internal areas to let them gain strength, and you pinch only the extension. Like this, you can manage the growth. This is it for now. I hope this short video on growth management in elongating species clarifies what are elongating species, how to deal with them in this multi-step process of pinching, and how to manage their fertilization, when to not pinch if the tree is in development. If you have any questions, please write them down in the comment section, and I'll catch you on the next one. Until then, bye bye for now.